Hey everyone, today's topic is narcissistic parents. Now, I know this is kind of a dark topic for some people, especially those who have had direct personal experience with growing up in a narcissistic parent household, but it's really essential information for writers who had narcissistic parents and are struggling today with their creativity and with their writing. So many of my coaching clients are INFJ personality types and INFP personality types who grew up in a household with narcissistic parents. Now, back when I was first getting started with coaching, I saw this trend. I would talk to people all the time and they would mention frequently, my mom was a narcissist, my dad was a narcissist, something to that effect. And I thought, this can't possibly be this prevalent. Why is it 75 to 80% of my coaching clients seem to have had narcissistic parents? For a while, I thought it was the popularity of the topic of narcissism. It seems to be everywhere these days on the internet. But as I dug deeper into it and I got to hear the stories of my clients, I realized they weren't misdiagnosing their parents. This was actually true. This was actually happening. And that's because it really is true that a lot of INFJ and INFP personality types have narcissistic parents. What also is true is that these types tend to struggle with creativity and writing more than any other personality type out there. And one of the biggest problems we struggle with is severe perfectionism. Now, when I say severe perfectionism, I'm not talking about run-of-the-mill perfectionism, where you're really detail-oriented, you're always on top of stuff, you want things to be perfect. Everybody has a touch of that, or a lot of people have a touch of that. What I'm talking about is something way deeper and way more insidious, and that's severe perfectionism. This is the type of perfectionism that blocks you from writing entirely. These types of writers have big problems getting started or keeping going with a project. A lot of times they can't finish. They tend to overthink ideas to the point where they don't even want to start the project because all of the creative spark is gone. They also tend to feel massively confused about their writing. Whenever I talk to one of these types of writers, they say, I don't know what direction I'm going in with my writing. I don't know what project I want to choose. I don't know which ideas feel like they're good and which don't. In fact, I don't even really know sometimes why I keep writing or why I even want to write if they're not writing. They say, I just feel so confused about the whole thing and it's causing me so much pain, so what's the point? A lot of times these writers will also start projects, get a little ways through or even halfway through, and then scrap the entire thing, delete everything, and start over. All of this comes from growing up with a narcissistic parent. These types of writers tend to use a solely achievement-oriented approach to writing, and that is part and parcel of coming from a narcissistic home, where everything is focused on the external. Everything is focused on what other people think. Achievement-oriented approaches to life are part of that. So when a writer is only using writing as an achievement, they tend to miss the very basic truth that writing is also a relationship. Now, even if they don't know it's a relationship, they're oblivious to the fact that they are in a relationship with their writing, that doesn't mean that the relationship doesn't exist. It does, and they are still in it. Just like people who are in a marriage who have problems being in relationships and don't understand give and take or compromise, they're still in a marriage. They still are in a relationship, even if they're not really doing very well at that relationship. Same thing with writing. Even if you are only using writing to achieve things and to get external approval, the fact is you're still in a relationship with your writing. For writers, writing is like their child. Writing and writers tend to go hand in hand with that parent-child type of dynamic. As the writer, what we're supposed to be doing for our writing is protecting it and nurturing it, helping it to grow, helping it to find its feet, helping it to find its voice, helping it to go off into the world without us someday and find its own people. However, writers with narcissistic parents never experienced this dynamic. So for them, they miss out on the growing, protecting, nurturing part of the writing, because when they were growing up, they didn't experience that. Instead, they experienced impossibly high standards and constant shaming and usually constant punishment for not meeting those standards. So this is the parent-child relationship they know, and this is the parent-child relationship that they reenact with their writing. Writers with narcissistic parents, in essence, become the narcissistic parent to their writing. So I'm going to say that one more time so that can sink in, maybe in a little bit more of a simple way. If you had a narcissistic parent who is severely critical of you, that's the way you will treat your writing. You will be just as severely critical of your writing. This is because we are treating our writing as an extension of our own ego, which is what our parents did to us when we were a child. And we are intolerant of imperfection, any flaws or mistakes, just like our narcissistic parents were intolerant of any imperfection, flaws, or mistakes that we may have made when we were children. Our parents used us as a way to see their own self-worth reflected back at them. And now that's what we are doing with our writing. We are using our writing as a way to see our own self-worth reflected back at us. This is because we're not able to hold our center. We are not able to find our value in our essence as being a human being. And that's it, just the fact that we exist. We exist and we are us and we are unique. That's where our value is. That's where our true value is. But when we get into this narcissistic parent-child relationship, the narcissist cannot see anyone else for their own essence. A narcissist cannot value another human being just for being the way they are, just for being a human being. That doesn't exist for narcissists. And when we treat our writing the way our narcissistic parent treated us, we can't do that for our writing either. We can't accept our writing for what it is. We can't give any space or room for our writing to experiment or grow or play or unfold into what it really wants to be, because we're so focused on the achievement. We're so focused on the writing being a reflection of our own self-worth. When we are treating other things as an extension of our ego, everything else becomes an achievement, and these achievements have to work for us. They have to always increase our self-worth, always increase the approval that others have for us. We see writing as an achievement, it has to do the same thing. It exists to serve us. It exists to shore up our self-worth, just as we existed for our parents to shore up their self-worth. So how do we shift out of this, right? This is the next big question. You've learned all this information. You're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, that's me. I've been doing that to my writing this entire time. What's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. You were only doing what you thought you were supposed to do. You were only doing the only thing you knew how to do. Now you have more self-awareness. Now you know, okay, I can shift out of this. So first, we clearly must see that reenactment. We clearly must see I am treating my writing the way mom or dad treated me, and that's not helpful and it's not right, and I'm going to choose to step away from it. I'm going to choose to do things differently. So we see it and then we make that choice. And then we shift from achievement to relationship, right? So achievement is focused on what the writing can do for you. Writing is a task and it's supposed to work for you. Relationship is you show up for the writing. No matter what the writing is doing that day. Some days are hard days, some days are great days. Some days the writing's really flowing. Some days it's really not. But no matter what the writing is doing, you are still showing up for the writing because you are in relationship with the writing, and the relationship is where the meaning is for you. That's how your writing is going to blossom and thrive. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into this video. If you enjoyed it, even if it was uncomfortable, or if you found it helpful, please subscribe to my channel. I do tons of videos like this: narcissistic parents, toxic people, empath problems, writing, creativity, intuition, and how the whole ball is mixed together. So if this is resonating with you, or you're finding something here that's really helpful, please subscribe to my channel. Please also subscribe to my newsletter. I do send out frequent newsletters with updates about all sorts of things: courses, classes, seminars, free events, book recommendations, coaching, all sorts of things. So please subscribe to my newsletter You will also get a free book for highly sensitive writers. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. I'll see you next time.